there, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Angie, and in today's video I am going to go over the basics of eyeshadow. I'm going to tell you which brushes you need, I'm going to tell you what shadows to place where, and we're going to have a little tutorial on this eye look that I have going now, which is just a very basic eyeshadow look you can do using 4 shadows. I decided to make this video because when I first started out in makeup, I had no idea what I was doing. I remember getting my Urban Decay Naked palette, and they had those little like infographic pictures that says, place this here, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know which brushes I needed. All I had was the brush that they gave me, or like other eyeshadow palettes had like the little like applicators that were terrible. I wanted to make this video for people who have been wanting to get into eyeshadow or been trying to get into eyeshadow and just don't know where to go, because I was there at one point. And other than that, there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube, but some of them kind of assume that you know a lot about makeup, which might not be the case for somebody who's just looking up eyeshadow tutorials. So hopefully this is a great place for you to start, and I'll link a playlist to this so you can see my other Makeup 101 style videos. So we're gonna get into brushes first of all. There's only really 4 brushes you need to start off with, and then you could build your collection after that. So the first 2 are both blending brushes. You're gonna want a larger one and you're gonna want a smaller one. Now, I prefer rounder ones. There are ones which are flatter, which are kind of used to define the crease a little bit more, but to start off with, I would prefer a round brush. The bigger one I have here is the M411 brush. There's a lot of affordable brands out there that you can find a fluffy blending brush at. And the smaller one is gonna be the Luxie 205 tapered blending brush. And this one's just gonna be a little bit smaller, a little bit more precise. Next, you're gonna want a flat shader brush. So this brush is from e.l.f. I got it for $1. I think the name of it is a precision eyeshadow brush, but I found it at Target for $1. They had one a little bit more expensive for $3, but generally any sort of flat brush is gonna be great for you. And lastly, you're gonna want a pencil brush. It's gonna be denser than a blending brush, and it's gonna be probably a lot shorter, and you're gonna kind of want some sort of a point. This is going to be used for more like the outer corner, more precise detailed work. And also under the eyes too, where you're going to be in a smaller area. And as for eyeshadows, so we're going to use 4 shades. We're going to use a highlight shade, a crease shade, a lid shade, and an outer corner shade. So our highlight shade, usually these are shimmery. You can use a matte one, but I tend to use a shimmer. This is for inner corner highlight and a brow bone highlight. Secondly, you're going to want the crease shade. So the crease shade, I always use matte. I never ever use a shimmer shadow. I'm assuming you could use it, but I think it's best to use a matte shadow. This is gonna be a shadow that is not gonna be too dark. It can be any color family. We're going to go with the brown one this one, and it's gonna just kind of give more dimension to the crease, kind of make it look like a little bit deeper set. And our third shadow is our lid shade. This can also be a matte shade. I'm using a shimmery shade here. This tends to be one of the few places I use a shimmery shade, so that's where we're gonna put it, is on the lid. And lastly is gonna be our outer corner shade. This could be matte or shimmer. In this case, I'm using a matte one, but it could be either one. It doesn't really matter. This is gonna be your deepest shade, and that's why we're gonna put it on the outer corner. And I think I've gone over all of the basics so far, so we're gonna get into the tutorial so you can see these brushes and these shadows in action. So this is what the difference is gonna look like. I just kind of want to show you what you're gonna start with and what you're gonna end with. I felt like me with my full makeup done doesn't really show you the depiction of the difference, so I wanted to show you that before I got into this tutorial. So now I'm gonna zoom in and we're gonna focus on this eye right here. Alrighty. So first we're gonna start off by priming our eyelid. You can use a concealer, you can use an eyeshadow base. I tend to use concealer a lot because I'm kind of lazy, and it makes for a great alternative to having to buy a whole nother product. So you can just take your finger or just use the applicator and apply it to your eye. And we are just gonna kind of pat that in. And you're just gonna take it up everywhere. Be careful not to get it into the brows, that's another thing. And what this is gonna do is not only is it gonna give you a base for your shadow, it kind of is gonna take away any discoloration. It's just gonna give you a smooth, even base to apply your eyeshadow. So next we're gonna either apply a translucent powder, like an eyeshadow or a foundation powder that's your skin tone, and we're gonna set the eye with that. You can even see it a little bit now. It's starting to crease. So we're gonna set that, and what this is also gonna do, it's gonna make it easier for your powder eyeshadows to blend on top. So I'm just taking a translucent powder. We're just gonna use our larger blending brush and setting everything with that. So now we got a good solid base to go off of. I'm gonna take the next smaller blending brush and I'm gonna go in to that crease shade. And the easiest way to do this is to look down in a mirror. If you look up, you can't really tell where your crease is. So I recommend looking down into a mirror, and then you're just gonna place it up in the crease, and you're gonna go back and forth in windshield wiper motions like this. I'm just gonna build that up a little bit more, like so. If you're using a blending brush, it does pretty well at giving nice soft edges, but just to blend it out more, we're gonna take our bigger blending brush again, and I'm gonna go up a little bit higher just to like blend out the edges. So as you can see, that's nice and even. If it's not enough for you, you can go back in and build it up more, which is what I'm gonna do. Sometimes if your powders are pigmented enough, you don't really have to do this, but other times you'll have to go back in. And if you're a beginner, it's probably best to use a light hand anyway. And when you're blending your shadow in, you're gonna take it kind of, just go like this, just like a windshield wiper. Because it's kind of more editorial if you take it up here with your crease shade. So just kind of go down here into the corner. You don't have to go all the way in, but just in like a round motion. Just for this eyeshadow look. This is just a basic eyeshadow look. There are so many ways to do this, but this is just probably the most basic way to do it and one of the more foolproof ways to do it. I'm gonna take that more like shimmery shade and I'm gonna pack that on the lid with that flat shadow brush, and you're literally going to tap it like so. You don't need to swipe, just tap it and pack it onto the lid. So that's all we're doing, is we're just packing it onto the lid. And these shades are actually doing pretty good at blending out, but I'm gonna take that brush that I used to apply my crease shade and just make sure all the edges are blended out. All right, and then for the outer corner, I'm gonna use that pencil brush, and I'm gonna take the deepest shade, and this is gonna go on the outer part of the eye. So I'm gonna just kind of start packing, not a whole lot of swiping, just to build that up, and I'm just gonna keep building that up until it's my desired effect. So that's what it looks like. As you can see, it's not very blended. So what I'm gonna do is take that same brush, again, my crease shade brush, and blend out the edges right here. And this part you can also see isn't really blended. We kind of lost a little bit of our shimmer. So we're just gonna go back in with our flat brush again and pack it back on, but it still leaves a deeper outer corner. And I'll just kind of blend out this part a little bit just to make sure. Okay, so that's what our upper lid looks like right now. It's a super basic eyeshadow look, but it's really great if you're not really sure how to get started in eyeshadow. You can learn more techniques to build off of this look. And we're just gonna apply our coat of mascara. Like I said, people, you know, you add eyeliner and all that stuff, but we're not gonna get into that today because this is the most basic of basic eyeshadow looks. All right, now we're gonna go on to the lower lash line. I had already used concealer underneath and I set it, which is enough of a base. So it's kind of similar to like what we did on the top, but you just did the same on the bottom. I just did it when I did my face makeup. So I'm gonna go into that deep shade again, and again with that pencil brush, and I'm just gonna kind of go along the lower lash line and bring it in. Don't bring it too far in because it's gonna be too dark, but about halfway is pretty good. That's just gonna kind of bring it down to the bottom eye so it doesn't look so top heavy. It'll just balance out the whole eye look. I'm gonna take the smaller blending brush again, and we're gonna go to the lower lash line and just blend it out a little bit more. And just like the top, we're gonna take our biggest blending brush and just make sure everything's blended out. You can kind of drag it a little bit into the inner corner because there's no product on the brush, so it'll kind of just blend it into the inner corner. So that's what the lower eye is gonna look like. And now we're gonna use the lash shade that I haven't used at all, and this is just gonna be the highlight shade. So you can use a pencil brush if you wanna get yourself another pencil brush. That's what I tend to do, but I'm trying to do this with as few brushes as possible, so we're just gonna use our finger. Fingers make great tools. So we're gonna tap that into the inner corner, and then we're gonna tap it onto the brow bone. Like so. So this is just a really nice finishing touch. It kind of emphasizes your brows and like your inner corner, and it just adds a nice little dimension to the eye. And then if you want to, you can just take your big blending brush and just kind of make sure you blend out those edges. And I'll put mascara on the lower lash line as well. And that is that eye look. So before we go, I just want to give you some eyeshadow tips. So my first tip is going to be, if you need your lid shade to be more vibrant, you're going to want to spray it with either like a setting spray or water. Here I'm using Fix Plus because that just seems to be the one that I was introduced to, not just the one I've always stuck with. But you can also use water, and make sure you spray it after you put that shadow on your brush, because otherwise it's going to mess up your eyeshadow pan if you spray the brush and then dip it into the pan. And only do this for your lid shade. If you try to do it on your crease shades to make them more pigmented, what it's going to do is it's going to make it really hard to blend out because they're going to stick to your eye. And so my recommendation for that is start out with less pigment. It's a lot easier to add to your eyeshadow than to put a lot on there and then have to blend it out. That's gonna make it a lot harder. I just dab into your eyeshadow and then just keep building it up. It's gonna take a while, but it's a lot easier to build up than it is to fix the excess later. Third, blending is your best friend. I showed you how I blend in a windshield wiper type of motion, and this is gonna be your best friend. If you are still worried, just blend it out and everything will become smooth together, and then this way you'll have a very blended look and it'll look very nice and put together. You won't have any harsh lines. And my last tip, if you are worried about getting fallout underneath your eyes, you get like the dark shadows in your eyes or anything like that, is to do your eyes first. So you don't have to have any foundation on or anything. Just put the concealer, put your eyeshadow on. You are gonna have to do your face for the under eyes, but the biggest problem area is when you're trying to do your top eye and apply some of those dark shadows, you get fallout on your cheeks. So that's my recommendation, is to do your eyeshadow first. You can pack some powder underneath here and wipe it away after. That's my other tip, but that's a little bit more advanced. It's probably just easier just to do your eye makeup first. I hope that you found this tutorial helpful. Let me know if you want any other kind of intro to blank tutorial, like an intro to foundation, intro to like lipstick, what other kind of like basic things about makeup you want to learn about. And if you did like this video and if you did like me, please don't forget to subscribe so you can see my future videos. Give this video a like, and I'm going to list my other social media down below so that way you can follow me on there because I am more active on there. And with that, I will see you in my next video. Bye!